watch success that leaves clues everywhere. Be around people that are winning and you're not inspired by the people you're hanging out with. Guess what that's called? A cage. Money matters. Don't let anybody fool you. Oh yeah, money doesn't bring you happiness. Bullshit. Don't follow people that don't have a track record, that didn't really make it. A lot of people say they have money. Prove it. You can look at my house. People are like, you already have it. You've got all this money in the bank. You've got the good life. You got the houses, the cars, the boats. No, I'm just getting started because I got to make hundreds and hundreds of other millionaires. I got to watch other people win. That's my dopamine now. When you win your dreams and you work with me, that's how I win. I had 150 people come up to me and wait in line to shake my hand.
This is Kickin' Ass Taking Names podcast, and today we are here with a very special guest, founder. He built a company that went from I guess you were 50 grand in debt up to $200 million company now. A1 Garage. If you're in the valley, you may be familiar with the logos. Tommy Mello wrote 2 books, Elevate, as well as Home Services Millionaire. So Tommy, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it, and I know we both got connected through Jason, great guy. Met him at the gym, and I've seen your logos and your brand everywhere, all over in the Phoenix Valley area. But I know you guys are also operating out of, right here it says 19 states, but how many are you guys at now?
Yeah, we're 19 states, 37 markets. We'll be in 23 by the end of the year.
Yeah, and this has been the company you started, A1 Garage Door Services.
Yeah, it's a garage door business.
That's really interesting because that's not like a typical route, right? When you think of like a trade or you think of, going into something technical, you may be like, okay, I'm going to start a mechanic shop, or I'm going to do maybe roofing or something. But you went to garage door. I'd love to know why and also how you kind of got started.
Yeah, so I'm from Detroit, and in 2006, I started painting garage doors. One of my buddies was managing at a company. He's like, dude, I was bartending. I had a landscaping company, and he's like, do you know how to paint garage doors? I'm like, no, but I'll learn. How much does it pay? He's like $100 a door. I got to the point where I could paint 10 doors a day. And I just was making great money on the weekends. So I always knew if I worked hard at something, I could make great money. And me and my other roommate decided to start a garage door business because I kept meeting up with technicians making $100 grand a year. Learned a little bit about the business, made every mistake in the book, went my separate direction from the partner in 2010. And now we have 800 employees. You know, what I learned was if I go study other industries, roofing, HVAC, plumbing, these guys had all the private jets. They were bringing in millions and millions and millions of dollars of profit a year. And, you know, we'll pass 200 million this year. But the thing that I'm most proud of is we're going to do 23% bottom line. Mm-hmm. And you might be thinking I'm going to get in the garage door industry. I don't care what business you throw me in now. You throw me in roofing, gutters, flooring, whatever it is, I can make 20% or more and get to hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's cool. We're going to make almost $50 million profit this year. And my business, I took on a partner last year, and we were valued, north of 500 million. I took half the chips off the table. We made 25 millionaires in the process, and now I own half the company, and we're scaling like crazy. So the goal is I'll walk away in 2.5 years a billionaire.
I remember you told me that when I was at your office and we had a conversation, and that was something that I was really curious about. Like, is that something that you set out to do, or is that something that happened because of just your dedication to the business? Like, in terms of just putting your head down, not even paying attention.
I didn't know that I would become a billionaire in garage doors. I knew I would do really, really great. I knew if I got my mindset dialed in and I took care of people around me and I really focused on the customer and the people, that I would do well. The garage door industry never heard of a service agreement. They never used promotions and financing tools for same as cash. They didn't focus on replacing the door that's better for the customer. So we do what we do for our own mother. Why would you fix this old door, replace it, put something nice in? The garage door has 102% return on investment. It's the smile of your home. It's 40% of your curb appeal. It lowers your electric bills. It's a safety thing for your kids. The technology will allow Amazon to deliver into the garage. Walmart delivers into the garage with a one-time access code. It's a big deal. People they don't think about it. It's these little things that people don't think about. In the home service industry during COVID, we blew up. People spent more time at their houses. We were allowed to work. We were essential. So you think about the things that really helped make this to what it is. It's taking care of people. It's being at the right place at the right time for sure. But, there's a lot of people out there. You look up to a lot of them. They're great on podcasts. They got okay businesses. But have they really made it in the real world? That's my question. They might be great, but there's a lot of young guys and gals out there that watch TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. They watch their reels, and they want to be like that person, but they don't know it's all a facade. It's all fake shit. Like if you go look at my business, I got 80,000 square feet. All my people are employees. They're not 1099s. And it's not easy. And everybody's selling this dream, become an influencer, become this, become that, become this. Start an Amazon business, start a fulfillment company. Like it takes hard work, discipline, and it takes playing the long-term game. I started in 2006 in this industry. Here we are sitting here 17 years later. I played the long game. I'm 40 years old. I've got a 25,000 square foot house. I'm building another 22,000 square foot house in Idaho. I live in Paradise Valley. And I'm not bragging. This is dedication, hard work, discipline, consistency. And very few people have it in them. They don't have the right mindset. They want money overnight. They think if I need to become a millionaire in 2 years. It's crazy what they think they could get done in a couple years, but underestimate what they could do in 10.
So I noticed in your book that you spoke about in the beginning of COVID, everybody is shutting down. You were worried. And you said that one moment that touched you was that you had a line of employees out your door. And you weren't thinking that they were going there to help, but more ask.
I was afraid they were all going to
quit, and some
and
issues.
And they were, come up with problems and tell me we're not sure what we're going to do. Blah 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 blah. They lined up. One guy said, "Cut my pay in half." He said, "My wife makes great money. I want to see this company do well." Another girl walked in and said, "I'm going to give you all my PTO and sick time. Other people need it." And this happened over and over and over. And I said, "I don't deserve this. I don't deserve these great people." So I had to become a better leader through that process. And I really started thinking about what are their goals? What are their dreams? What is their bucket list? What do they want to accomplish? And if I could use my company, A1 Garage Door Service, as a vehicle to help them accomplish spending more time with their family, taking their dad on a golf trip, taking their wife to 10-year reunion to renew their vows in Hawaii, taking their kids just to the things they want to do, buying a house, buying their dream car. If their dreams are winning, if they're accomplishing their dreams, then I'm winning. And that's the goal. Is every time I sit down on a one-on-one, we look at their goals, their dreams. What needs to happen in this business for you to accomplish those?
It does seem like in today's age, right, there's a lot of people in business. I'm sure you get this all the time. They ask, like, my business, I'm struggling to bring on people. Bring on good people, keep good people. You said that most people, they assume that the problem is their employees. They don't take responsibility as the owner.
Yeah, you got to look in the mirror. Who do you fire? What's your favorite team, football team?
49ers.
The 49ers. Who would get fired if the 49ers lost every game?
Their coach.
Their coach, the leader, right? And maybe even the franchise owner or the business owner of that team. You're not going to kick that guy out very easy. He's going to go replace his leadership team. Look in the mirror if things aren't going right. Who wants to work for you? Why would they want to work for you? If things are going wrong in your life, if you don't look in the mirror and say, I'm the problem, if you're not in great shape, if you're not making great money, you could blame it on Bidenomics. You could blame it on Ukraine and what's going on in Israel. You could blame it on the time of year and you're in the wrong market and nobody likes you and it's easy for you to say. Or you could look in the mirror and say, I'm going to do something about it. I'm a winner. And they say, is today day one? Or am I just going to have this happen one day? They don't take the steps. What happens if you want to get in good shape? Should you be counting your calories and watching your protein intake and drinking enough water and making sure you're sleeping 8 hours? And should you make sure you're progressing in your sets? Right. They're not tracking any of that stuff. So you say, it'd be really nice if I got in good shape, but they don't do anything about it. They sit there and they eat another bagel. Then they have a donut. Then they're not willing to sacrifice. They want, but they're not willing to take the necessary moves they need to take to get ahead. And it's called sacrifice. It's called delayed gratification. It's called discipline. You know, I looked at myself in the mirror 4 months ago and I was disgusted. I called Jason, actually. I said, dude, you're in great shape. What do you do? He goes, go see my doctor. I went and got tested, my saliva, my blood, and my urine. I'm on 4 peptides. I put up 225 22 times the other day. Perfect form. I'll even share the video if you guys think I'm lying. And I'm getting into great shape. My body fat right now is 16%. I'll be at 8% by Christmas. I deserve more. I deserve to be better. And it took me not drinking for the last 70 days. It took me sleeping right. It took me eating the right things. It took me pushing myself in the gym. And I'm becoming a better version of myself.
I want to go back. So let's go back a little bit to how you were brought up. Okay, because a lot of people, they see it and they have a guy, okay, this guy's going to be a billionaire. They just hear another word. What is that? I mean, to get to the level of success, really, and for you, it was through impact. What inspired you to be that way early on in your life? I
was always curious. I always asked a lot of questions. Dumbest guy in the room. If I wanted to be a better golfer, I'd go find the number one guy I knew. The reason I called Jason's 44 years old. He's in the best shape I've ever seen. He doesn't work out 2 hours a day. I said, that guy lives my lifestyle. He's great shape. He still has a pizza and a beer every now and then. And I watch success that leaves clues everywhere. So having 2 years listening, a great book, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is be around. If you don't are around the people that are winning, and you're not inspired by the people you're hanging out with, guess what that's called? A cage. You're stuck. You're never going anywhere. You want to become really good at something? Be around people so much better than you. Learn to be the dumbest guy in the room at whatever you're going for. What fun is it to go bowling if you've got a 220 average and you're bowling with guys that can barely break 110? You're going to bowl a 150. Hey, I won. Who cares? Go with the best of the best. And it's not easy to sit down and get humbled all the time. But if you get comfortable being uncomfortable, you're only going to go further in life. And very few people have that mindset. They're like, oh, I'm good enough. Things are okay. They just don't want more. They don't know the why behind it. They never sat down and said, what's going to make me happy? I truly wake up every day. I'm fortunate. I have my health. I bought back all my time. I'm living my best freaking life ever. And a lot of people you'll see on podcasts, they see all these stuff. You go look behind the door. They're miserable. They're depressed. They're on drugs. They're alcohol. They're binging. That's not the life I want to live. I'm truly here saying I'm living my best life. I'm enjoying every minute. I enjoy Mondays. I enjoy working. I don't feel like I ever go to work. I have fun. I hired for all my weaknesses. I hired people smarter than me. And now it's just, it's great. And I truly have freedom to do what I want, when I want, with who I want. And it's awesome, man. It's a feeling. I want this for everybody. And it's not only money. Money's only a tool to get you there. But money matters. Don't let anybody fool you. Oh, yeah, money doesn't bring you happiness. Bullshit. I'll show you a lot of things. I bought a really nice house because I've had people there. Last week, 4 nights out of the week, I had more than 30 people over. We had a blast. And those were memories that I'll never forget. And I had a place to do that. I wasn't like, look at me, look at this badass house, look at my cars. I said, let's just go to my place. I got all the refreshments. We'll go have a blast. We had fun. We had great conversations. We built relationships. So we deepened relationships. And there's not a lot of people that have that mindset.
I have to ask, so would you say that your success is more predicated on that you followed your passion, your interests? Or would you say it was more that you designed a life that was going to be the way you want it to be and you fit that mold?
Well, you got to start out with, it's called an OKR, outcome and key result. Where do you want to go? Where is it that you're trying to go? Where am I at today? What are the building blocks that I need to get to? And usually those are KPIs. They're key performance indicators. What are you measuring? My average tech, when I built my plan to get to $1 billion of revenue, was doing $500,000 a year. I needed 2,000 technicians to get to $1 billion. 2,000 times 500 grand is $1 billion. So right now I'm at 200 million. I got a straight line to $1 billion. And it begins to build exponentially. To get to $1 billion is going to be easier than it took me to get to 10 million. Because I built systems, standard operating procedures, checklists. I came up with KPIs to drive performance. And a lot of it has to do with the people I hired. They give me eye contact. They got the right tonality. They give me the empathy. They look me at the eye. They shake my hand. These little things, I'll take a busboy and turn him into $1 million producer. But I know how to recognize it. I can see it now from a mile away. The people that want more for their life, they dream bigger. They're doers. And then there's the people that say, it's easy for you to say, he got lucky. People don't like me. It's my market. I hear this bullshit, this victim mentality all the time. And I can't be around those people. They literally drag you down like a weight. You need to get that fungus away from you as far and fast as possible.
I saw that you've been associating with a lot of big names. Obviously, you were on Brad Lee's podcast. You said you just were on Grant Cardone's podcast. I wanted to ask you, what like, did you start out and stayed in your current industry and learned from people who are like similar to you running businesses? Did you go through like a program? I mean, I saw that you were actually studying under Al
Levy.
Yeah.
So 2017, I met Al Levy, the 7-power contractor. He taught me how to build manuals at standard operating procedures, that build a system to get the correct output. A lot of people, they're firefighters. They go into work and they're busy all day. They get that dopamine rush. And business is not supposed to be complicated. It's supposed to be, if I train really well and the people know how to get to the outcome and they could build a system to get that output, then not a lot of things have to go wrong. It's systematized. And so I started a podcast in 2017 and I got everything I wanted on my podcast that I needed to learn about. If I was having a hard time with HR and finding great people or how to build a culture, I brought that person in. And it took years and years. The first year I didn't have any listeners. I did it for myself, but I stayed consistent. I never missed an episode. I did have people listening in the beginning, and then the word started to spread, and now it's compounding itself. And the fact is, I've made it. I'm not done by any means. I'm in the fetal stages of where I'm going. But Grant Cardone, a lot of these guys, no offense, he's done well in real estate. He manages a lot of properties, but that's not liquid. I mean, take everybody that you could think of, Alex Hormozy, a lot of these guys. I mean, I've done more in the garage industry than they've done in all their businesses. I can't tell you that I'm bigger than them because they've got bigger social presence, but they're all older. They've been doing this a long time. I started really getting good at it a few years ago. Now I'm on big stages. I spoke in front of 800 people the other day. I'm speaking in front of 1,000 in 2 weeks. I'm speaking at Grant Cardone's event. He's been promoting the shit out of me. And guess what? I am the home service guy. I will be the biggest influencer, period, in home service. And you could come to my shop. I'll give you a shop tour. I do 3 a month. And you could see it's the real deal. Don't follow people that don't have a track record, that didn't really make it. A lot of people say they have money. Prove it. You can look at my house. I don't care. But I'm just saying success leaves clues. People try to be other people, but they don't realize they're renting the plane. They're living in a lease. They don't own that car. And who cares about the cars?
Do you think that today most people are focused on having like a sexy business rather than a functional business?
Oh, yeah, 100%. So many people care what other people think. So many people live their life only thinking about what others view. I'm happy. I'm happy with who I am. I'm happy when I look in the mirror. I'm happy with what I do with others. And guess what? They know I'll bleed for them. Everybody around me, it's part of my family. Each and every one of my coworkers, they know I'll go to war for them. They know they come first. And that's few and far between. And that type of mentality doesn't come easy. That means I got to look in the mirror every day and say, am I progressing? Am I helping them win? Am I guiding them? Am I leading them? Am I coaching them properly? I had Andy Elliott come in the other day, blew their socks off. He does that for me. He said, Tommy, I want to work with you for free. You're the biggest guy in home service. You know how many clients I've gotten Andy Elliott just because he says he works with me? You think Andy Elliott's bigger than me in home service? It's not even close. The people don't know who he is. Go talk to any HVAC company, any plumber. And I'm not bragging, but you see me everywhere. You see me on the billboards, the TV, the radio, when you're watching the news. You see me all over the Arizona Republic. And I'm just getting started. I will be the largest home service company in North America by far in 3 years. It won't even come close. Because people are like, you already have it. You've got all this money in the bank. You've got the good life. You got the houses, the cars, the boats. No, I'm just getting started because I got to make hundreds and hundreds of other millionaires. I got to watch other people win. That's my dopamine now. When you win your dreams and you work with me, that's how I win. There's a guy named Zig Ziglar, very big in the 80s. He said you could have anything you want in life if you help enough people get what they want. Mm-hmm. And I'm a testament to that. It comes back full circle in spades. And that's why I do what I do. I had somebody reach out this morning. They said, my life's never been better. A year ago, I was about to lose my business. Now I got more money in the bank than I've ever got. Me and my wife are so happy. I'm the coach of my kids' soccer team. I go to church every Sunday now. My life's been turned upside down. And that's what I want. When I shake somebody's hand, is I gave more than I received.
I could ask you, how do you determine what qualities are great in building leaders within your organization?
Well, it's the ability to always want more, always become better. It's better your best every day. It's working at, are your goals big enough? Or have you sat down and can we dream a little bit together? What do you want? What makes you really happy? What do you enjoy doing with your kids? Because if you want time costs money. You see, there's a great book called Buy Back Your Time. I have the girls show up to me to do my haircuts at my house. I literally have a dog walker that walks both dogs. I've got a full-time house cleaner that takes care of everything. She makes my protein shakes. I got an executive assistant. I got a personal assistant. I mean, I literally in the epitome of if I don't have to do it, I'm not doing it. Now, I enjoy walking my dogs. So I walk my dogs too, but I make sure they get a dog walk every night. I went on 7 trips in August. 7 trips that I flew out. It was either speaking or I was going to look at a company I'm buying. I had a guy in town this weekend, stay the whole weekend with me. I'm buying his company. We're closing in 3 weeks. I'll buy 20 companies next year. And so I'm traveling all the time. And my theory is, do I need to do this or can I train somebody? No one can sit here and do this podcast and they can't be Tommy Mello. Nobody could call one of my coworkers and say, you're doing great like I can. And it's coming directly from me. So I always start out with who needs to be doing this, me or can I delegate this? Because if you delegate properly, not dump, you could delegate to elevate. You could actually buy back your time. And, you know, you got these guys, Ed Milet, for example, amazing guy. He says he outworks everybody. I don't give 2 shits if he outworks me. I've got 800 people. I'll have 2,000 by the end of next year. How are you going to outwork 2,000 people? You think Elon Musk is saying, I'm going to work harder than everybody? You think you know what he prides himself on is hiring the top talent, the top 1% of 1% for SpaceX, for Tesla, even for what he's doing right now with Twitter. He gets the talent and then he delegates. He lets them do what they do best. He doesn't say, I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to work nights, weekends. I get up earlier. I stay up later. Who gives a shit?
I'm a little bit curious as to what brought out Elevate. Like, what was the thing that got you to have this theme? Like, why this theme in your life?
When I started sitting down with my vendors, instead of saying I want this cheaper, I said, give me your 1-year goal, give me your 3-year goal, give me your 5-year goal. Show me your whole plan. I said, I want to be a key person in your business. I want to help you succeed. Show me the metrics you need to move. And when I found that I moved their needle, they gave it back so much more to me. They said, we're not only going to give you a better price, but we're going to give you everything else you need because I'm looking out for them. When I would sit down with my employees or a partnership or whatever it is, and I say, give me your plans. I'm going to watch you and work with you to help you win. Guess what they do? They work 10 times harder. They're more excited. They're more passionate. They care more. And when you could figure that piece out of watching other people's and getting their plan and knowing, how can I help you achieve what you need to achieve? Some people are working on bonus structures. How do I get you your bonus? They say your product mix needs to go to this. Okay, great. That's what we're going to do this year. I'm going to get you your bonus. And that's way different than most people think. They go, me. I need a better price. I need. Instead of saying, how could I help you? How do we come up with a win-win? Because in business, you don't need to lose. If another garage door company does great, I don't lose. When I go into another market, people used to say, damn, Tommy Mello's coming in with A1 garage door service. I've got 60 companies in garage door freedom. Guess what they say? When you come into our market, we were able to raise our prices. We were able to get better employees. You brought so much to our market. It did a great thing. And all these people, there doesn't need to be a win-lose. Donald Trump talks about this. He talks about when he goes in the business, it needs to be a win-win across the board. And very few people see the art to negotiate.
So, I mean, you're, in terms of compensation, your team, everybody, you've decided to bring on this plan where your employees can win as owners as well.
So it's called an equity incentive program. Then we do pay for performance, right? So there's 3 ways to pay people. You could give hourly salary, weekly pay, bonuses. You could give equity, or you could give profit sharing. I believe in equity incentive programs. If you hit a threshold, the way that it works is, let's say your business is worth $10 million today. You bring on the most amazing CFO. Why would they want to work for you? Not only the compensation, but what's in it for the long game? If they were able to earn anything like 1% of over 10 million and it got to 100 million, they make 900,000 because they got 1% of that 90 million. And all of a sudden they got skin in the game. They're going to work hard. And it's a great recruiting tool. Plus, nobody's going to leave. They got equity in the company. It's vested, but it goes away if they leave. So now you got people that aren't going to go anywhere. They're trying to problem solve. They're trying to recruit. They're trying to get 5-star reviews. They're trying to maximize profit. And revenue is for vanity. People talk all the time. You're going to watch people in here go, oh yeah, I did 50 million last year. Who gives a shit? Profit is for vanity, or I'm sorry, revenue is for vanity and profit is for sanity. And by giving people performance pay and working on what they can control themselves, now they got skin in the game. Now they can affect the output. No one's capped that works for me. Nobody's capped. They can make as much money as they want.
So I know you guys said that some of the most important time in a new employee's life cycle is the first 2 weeks. What do you guys do to like onboard people and keep them and retain them in the company?
So do you ever, you seen people celebrate that they've worked here 20 years? We're going to take them out for beers. We're going to bring them a cake and we're going to celebrate and take pictures and have a party. They celebrate when people leave. Why don't you celebrate when they come? Tell their families to come to a walkthrough. Greet them and show them the plan and show them that you appreciate them. We got a red carpet we roll out for them. We have a champagne toast when they start. We say, you made the right decision. This is important. You're part of our family now. You're here to win. We wanted you. We take 100 interviews to hire one person and you're it. You're exactly the talent. You should be proud of yourself. There's no one else like you in this world and we're proud that you're on our team. No one does that.
Yeah.
Not that I see. I don't see a lot of companies celebrating, saying, bring your wife in. We want to have a graduation party. We're going to give you your diploma from this company. We want everybody to share it on Facebook and be proud that they work here. We're the #1 company in the world for what we do. We are doctors. We are specialists. We are the best. And the best is relative, but we run 18,000 jobs a month. And we're just getting started. We're just scratching the surface. And these guys all know. Everybody that works for me, I did orientation for 3 hours this morning. I said, this is the most important meeting if you keep this career that you'll ever attend. And I'm going to pour on you some knowledge, and I'm going to teach you guys to help build goals. And I'm going to make you in this training that you're going through is called Top Gun in the garage door industry. People will pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to get what you guys are getting this month in this program. And it's all up to you. You could be a victim or you could say, I'm here to take what's mine. You come for everything they said you couldn't have. Let's do this together because I'm going to see you win and I'm going to rejoice when you win and I'm going to praise you when you win. And when you need help, we're going to work on it together. You don't have to go through this alone anymore. At A1 Garage Door Service, we're looking out for you. We care for you. And I'll be there anytime. If you don't have a Thanksgiving dinner, I'm going to make sure you get a Thanksgiving dinner. If you don't got presents for your kids, but if you're making $200,000 a year and you don't have presents for your kids, you got a spending problem. We're going to help fix that first because I'm not going to solve all your problems.
Right. So, I mean, in terms of the company, and this is your life, right? I'm sure you're so dedicated to it. What are you looking at in terms of like the future, right? It's not just the company, but also what are your alternative goals in terms of that?
Yeah, so obviously be in the best physical shape I could be in. Building a house in Idaho. I'm invested in a lot of companies, other home service companies, real estate. I've invested a lot into software. And I have a whole family office. I have a full-time CFO that works for me personally. I have a lawyer. I have a tax advisor. I have a guy at Goldman Sachs. So I'm investing in things I think I can move the needle. I'm actually wiring the money. I made a $6 million investment recently. It's getting ready to get wired. I'll turn that $6 million. Let me think. I own 18%, $6 million. It'll be $50 million EBITDA. It'll be $1 billion. So the $6 million will turn into $180 million in 3 years. That's one investment. That's one thing I'm working on. I got another deal that I invested in a branding company. I put in $4 million. I'll pull out $45 million in 2 years. How can I affect the needle? Well, I become an influencer, right? And I believe in these things. And I push them because I believe in them. I mean, ultimately, there's a lot of companies I could get behind. And if they had good reporting and we knew what they should be focused on, so many people walk into their building and they say, oh my God, I got so much to do. They don't have one core thing they should be working on that'll move the needle into crazy things. So we help find the one thing, then the next thing. We build a top 5 list and we knock them out together. And it starts with the reporting. How do you know where you're at? If you're going to get better at the 100-yard dash, you better have it timed. How do you know how to get better? What should you be working on? What's going to increase? Is it your takeoff? Is it your finishing? What part of it do we need to work on?
If you were to restart, what would you do differently?
Well, the #1 thing is the brand. My brand was crap. Think about this. Your brand has to have symmetry. Your trucks need to look like your website needs to look like your yard signs. They need to look like your billboards. Branding is everything. People see our trucks and they go, I recognize you guys everywhere. It's a good brand. It looks good. It looks pristine. It looks like a brand. It doesn't say discount garage door. We're A1 from day one. A1, top notch, the best. So have a brand that stands out that people remember. A lot of people do not invest in their brand in the beginning, and it costs 20, 30 grand. If I were anybody right now and I was going to brand anything home service, I'd go to Kickcharge. Kickcharge Creative, Dan Antonelli. You talk about brands that have 10x'd their profitability. I mean, he's done 2,000 brands. Gettle, huge company. Dan Antonelli. Everybody, when you brand correctly, all of a sudden people come in your door, they want to work for you. So then the clients, your cost per click on PPC, everything, it's a tenth of the cost. Your culture is so much better because they have pride in what they work for. It's not complicated. The brand is simple. Another thing is nobody I know starts off with a good CFO. They don't understand their numbers. They don't understand the tax advantages. They don't know when to renegotiate with the vendors. They don't understand any part of their financial known position. So I would have invested in a fractional CFO. I couldn't afford the CFO I had today. There's no way I could afford him, but I could afford him for 3 hours a week to get the systems in place, to put the right systems of $1 billion company. Yeah, 3 hours a week. 3 hours is like what? A 12th of his time, a 13th of his time. So if he makes $1 million, I'm only paying 60 grand a year, 70 grand a year, but he's putting in the systems of $1 million CFO. So that's a big one. And then I think you've got to understand marketing. You've got to understand, and I believe in self-promotion all the time, because you wouldn't have invited me here if you didn't know who I was. Now, Jason told you about me, but I'm in a room. I feel like I had 150 people come up to me and wait in line to shake my hand. And I'm not bragging about it. Listen, I'm an average Joe. I'm from Detroit. I came up with nothing. I mean, my mom worked 3 jobs. The church had to give us Thanksgiving and Christmas to get by. I shoveled snow and mowed lawns till I turned 12. Then I got a job washing dishes at $4.05 a year before I'm legally able to work. I am not anything special. They say, you're just an average dude, man. You're cool. You're taking time to give back. And I do. That's what my life's about. I'm going to leave a legacy in this world.
That's badass, dude. I do want to ask if you were so let's pause for a second. I want to go into kind of the story. So do like a 1 second pause.
Sure.
So I kind of want to get into I want to go from your story to others.
Okay.
And then how they can work towards income, freedom, financial freedom. So I'm gonna start with like a question right now.
Okay.
That'll go into that.
Got it.
All right. Okay. So I mean, if people are getting started, they're starting out, what is your suggestion? I know you said that a company could go to branding, but what about as an individual? How could they get started?
Well, my favorite 3 letters in the world are ASK. You got to ask. You want to go on a date? Good luck. Your girl's not going to ask you out. Maybe if you're really lucky. But you got to ask girls on a date to go on dates. You know, if you get out of the fear mentality of rejection and you learn to ask more, you went to the number 1 company in your own market that you want to replicate, or maybe even another state. And you just say, listen, I'd like to come there. If you ever got an open house, I'll even pay for it. And you walk in with 1,000 questions and you get to meet the people. Why not go and figure out what you need to build? When I walked into Gettle and I walked into 25 HVAC companies across the country, I sat down with the CFO, the CMO, the CIO. I worked with their top staff for a whole day, and I came back with 1,000 things. And I started to build this plan. And I realized what productivity looked like. You know, you don't have to go in this world alone. There's people that'll take you with them. And they want to give back. They pay it forward because other people did that for them. So I take the time. I'm sitting here on this podcast because, first of all, I'm honored you'd have me. But also, I want to spread the message, and I want to give you back something because you had the balls to ask me. And not a lot of people do. So guess what? I'm sitting here right now. Most people would say, yeah, they'd pay me $10,000 for an hour. But I'm here. It was 10 minutes away. I enjoy doing podcasts, so I'm here. So they got to not live a life of fear, and they got to put themselves in uncomfortable situations and be willing to ask for help. Because why would you want to emulate somebody you saw on TikTok? Freaking go out there and find the success that's leaving clues all over the place. Find the guy with the Ferrari, with the 2 private planes, living in the house you want, with the perfect wife, the perfect dogs, that looks like he's actually living the life you want. Don't go on TikTok and find the perfect person. Who gives a shit? They're like, go in the real world and see who's winning and then follow their lead.
Yeah. It's real. So, I mean, how does it relate to, do you have kids?
I don't have any kids yet.
Okay. So I guess this is going to be an interesting question then. How would you coach? If you had a son, what would you tell him?
He's 10 years old. I tell him, listen, man, I want you to look at me. There's going to be times in your life where people say no, and they're foolish. You're such a good guy. Believe in yourself. I want to hear your tonality. I want you to make eye contact. When you shake your hand, I want you to mean it. Now, I want you to go ask that girl out. Her name's Rachel. I know you got a crush on her, and she might tell you no, but don't worry, because you're going to show up. You're going to make her laugh. I want you to smile. I want you to show her your pearly white teeth, and I want you to tell her how beautiful you think she is. And if she says no, I don't want you to get upset. I don't want you to think you're not worth anything, because you are. You know your mom and dad love you more than anything in this world. And you know you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. I know that because that's what my parents told me. They didn't have a lot of money, but they gave me the belief in myself that I could have and do anything I want. And that was more than money could ever buy. And if I'm there for them that way that they showed up for me, and I don't just say it, I show up for my kids, and they see that dad cares and dad wants to know more, and I'm where my feet are with them, and I'm present. I'm not just watching TV. I'm not just at their game, but I'm spending time with them. I'm asking them questions. I'm learning about their day every day. That's the best thing that could happen. And then what I would tell them is, listen, you got to be passionate about something. You got to get excited. You got to know your why. You can't just say, hey, I'm thinking about going into communications. Why? What is your goal? What are your dreams? What's your 10-year plan? And I don't want you to sit down and whiteboard all this today, but I want to know what gets you excited. What makes you pop out of bed and just like spring up and smile and say, I'm going to go do that. And you know, people say, is that garage doors? Yeah. When you hear me talk about garage doors, you're going to be like, dude, I watch a James Bond movie and I'm looking at the garage in the background. This is my livelihood. This is what I do. I'm passionate. I get excited. It gets me up in the morning. It makes me come in early on I go into work on Sundays half the time, and I don't feel like I'm ever working, ever. If this is work, I mean, I built a life that I don't feel like I work. Mm-hmm. And that's what's amazing about it, is very few people have that. They go, oh, shit, Monday. Ugh. They can't wait till Fridays. And I feel bad for those people. Even professional golfers, here's the deal. If you love to golf, you got to hit 1,000 golf balls a day. You got to be away from family. You got to live out of a hotel a lot of the time. So don't think some of the things you just love, hey, I love scuba diving, I want to go do that. Sometimes that stuff becomes work. But your mindset, the way you put yourself in a position to enjoy it and do what you love. I mean, I love motivating people. I love going into work. I don't like micromanaging. I don't like one-on-ones. I don't like firing people. So I don't do anything I don't want to do. But I had to make the sacrifice for 10 years to be able to move to that level. And a lot of people, they did this study when kids were 5 years old. They put a marshmallow in the room. And they said, if you wait 10 minutes and don't eat it, you'll get another one. 6% of the students didn't eat the second one. So 94% ate it. The other 6% waited, and they stacked up marshmallows. They followed these kids till 10, 18 on their SAT scores, their marriages, their success in life, the times they retired. And they literally surveyed them throughout the years. The people that showed delayed gratification, that took sacrifices, that showed discipline, that showed up and they had consistency, oh, their life was so more abundant. It was so much better. And it's very rare that you see people, they start making more money, and then they change their livelihood. They're keeping up with the Joneses. They buy a new car. They buy the second house. When they don't realize that they just reinvested into the one thing and they focused. You know, you got to have a side hustle. Bullshit. Focus on that one thing. Read The One Thing by Gary Keller. Become an expert. Side hustle. Why would you have a side hustle when you could do one thing and make all your money? You could become a billionaire sticking to one thing. Oh yeah, you got to be doing 10 things. That is the biggest farce I've ever heard. If you're passionate and you enjoy doing something, if you love bartending, then go bartend a couple nights a week if that's what you love to do. If you love mowing your lawn, it gets you away from the family and you can listen to your Audible books, then go mow the lawn. I'm not saying you got to hire a landscaper. Do what you love to do. And if you love a side hustle and you enjoy it, then do it. But don't do it because I got to have a side hustle.
So how do you view your employees? Like, do you see them as family, and what do you guys do that builds a culture that allows you to recruit so many people that stay with you?
So some people say always be closing. I say always be recruiting. We post on social media. We cook for our people all the time. I think the best thing you could do is break bread. A lot of people go, I don't have the money to take them to a nice restaurant. Can you afford Bisquick at Costco and have pancakes? Could you afford to show up for them? Can you afford to have a meeting and actually talk about the big wins instead of getting up on your podium and saying, we need to do better at this. We've got big goals for the company. No one cares about your goals. They care about what's in it for them. How are they winning? Call their wife when they get an award or have a best month. I gave all my guys, I wrote down on the $20. This is for your wife for flowers.
Yeah.
And I handed out $20 bills. Every one of these guys texted me and had their best day ever the next day. They said, oh my God, this is crazy. And we invite their wives and kids to a lot of events. We go to Mexico once a year with a big part of our team. We go on trips. I went skydiving 3 months ago with 20 of my techs. Our goal is to have big events all the time and share the big wins. So many people talk about what's not going good. Talk about what's going good. You can manifest anything you want. And the one-on-ones are a time that we share on what you could be working on. But in public, we praise. And people want to get behind a team. They want to have a team. 82% of people say they won't leave a company because they have best friends there. They've made friends. That doesn't happen at work. It happens outside of work. What are you doing to get people outside of work to bond and dream together?
And so at this point, are you guys currently expanding to? So you're in 19 states. Are you expanding into more states? Where are you guys at currently?
We picked our top 20 markets. We're going to go in and take market share. I buy a lot of other garage door companies, and I buy them. They're not broken, but I know I could take their key performance indicators. This is important. I can fix any business in the world with these numbers. I take their average ticket, their conversion rate, their booking rate, and their cost per acquisition. Those 4 things. And I can fix any company. And I overlap my KPIs and say this is where we could get them. And then there's what's called my favorite word in the English dictionary is arbitrage. I could buy it for 3x and sell it for 9x. Because under my systems, they're worth 3 times what I pay for them. Plus, if I fix them, then I'm getting 9x on my money.
Yeah.
But acquisitions are not easy. I don't recommend it for a lot of people. They're like, I'm just going to do what he does. I'm going to go buy companies. You're dealing with a different pay performance, a different culture, different inventory system, different brand. You've got to have a whole integrations team that's an expert at it. Takes 90 days to integrate, and it's not easy, and it's hard. So I became an expert at greenfielding, which is growing organically. But the real money is when you go buy a business and fix it and make sure the culture's there and everybody is making more money than they did before.
I'm curious on that, the culture. So I read that in your book, and I was still confused. What do you do to fix a culture that's been already in in the dumpster? It's been
I'll give you an example. Mud. Bought a company in Denver, Downs Garage Doors. I got to hear them. What do they hate? They said our trucks break down. We get $275 a week if our truck breaks down. All of them got brand new trucks. They said I didn't trust the old owner. I called them every day, and I heard their stories, and I listened to them. And I said, we're going to work on that. I'm going to change that. They said, we don't have this. You walked in their office, it looked like shit. It wasn't lit up. They had old donuts sitting there. There was no pride. So you change the atmosphere. You change the physical aspects of it. You put a coffee machine. You show that you care. You show that it's clean, it's tidy, it's respectable. You ever go into a bathroom and you're like, you kind of piss on the toilet and you're like, you don't even want to wash your hands. And then you walk in a really nice house and you're like cleaning the toilet yourself. Yeah. It's because you got pride. You realize they have pride. So you got to work on every aspect of it. You got to see, do they care about themselves? Because if you don't care about them more than they care about themselves, good luck making it better. But when they find out there's actually a team here of people that are going to help me succeed, people are going to get behind me and stand me up and help me achieve my goals, that changes the whole heartbeat of the company.
How's it? How do you distinguish? Like, what's the first thing you notice when you walk into a company and you're looking at like acquiring a company?
Well, the way that we start out is we sign an NDA. Right? Non-disclosure agreement. And then we want to get their numbers. And if they take a long time to produce their numbers, they're obviously not managing on, they don't know where they're at today. They kind of don't really know. They're like, if there's money in the bank, they're doing okay. They don't know their booking rate. They say, me and my wife booked the phone calls. We're probably booking 90%. I'm like, I'm at 87.6%. I know down to the decimal. Exactly. I know how many calls I get in. I know how many abandonment rate. People don't pay attention to that. Those are ones we couldn't get to fast enough that hung up. We pay attention to all these finite little numbers. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, most of them aren't monitoring any of this stuff. So there's so much room to grow. They don't know what technician's doing better. They say, this is my best guy. Why? Well, he's got the highest sales. Well, that's easy. But has he got the most profit? Do you know his profitability? Do you know his direct labor? Do you know your marketing costs? What's your best campaign? Do you have attribution models? So I look at how much data they have, what they're looking at to make critical decisions, and what's their critical decision process. And most of the time they don't have that, which is great for me because they've been around 30 years, they're busy, and they say, I can't hire enough technicians. My guys are running 8 calls a day each. We're not open nights and weekends. I say, okay, well, we are not open nights and weekends on holidays. And people want to work those because they make more money working them. And then I say, what else? Well, their call center is crap. I could always fix a call center. And then their people are afraid to ask. There's no process. I have an 8-step sales process that works every time. Mm-hmm. And it's actually intended to make the customer happy. Because the worst thing in the world is when we fix a garage door and 2 weeks later they call us back and say something else broke. They're like, I just spent all this money, so we fix it right the first time. You know how many calls I get of customers that say, I've had another garage door company out 3 times this year, just come fix whatever it is. I don't care what it costs anymore. Mm-hmm. You see, the people that shop on price, you don't give them a reason of why you're a better value, of why you're a better quality. And there's a bunch of people all over the social medias, the trolls, I call them, that say, I'm only going to buy the best price. Really? What kind of jeans do you wear? Do you have an iPhone? Do you go to Steak 44? Do you go to nice restaurants? Oh, you do all those things, but you wouldn't invest into your home, your number one asset? Mm-hmm. No. You just don't own a house. You're talking out of your own pocket. You see, that's the issue. You've never owned a home, so you can't even put yourself in the shoes of owning a home. But people want the best. You know, what size TV do you want? Do you want a good TV that's going to last a long time, that's going to bring you the best shows, the best view? Or why would you buy a cheap garage door? Literally, it's the insulation. It keeps all the cold air in the summer. It's the quietness. It's the safety for your family. A lot of people that say stuff, they're just there to combat that. They just say things to get a rise out of people. It's really pathetic because they're not living their own life. They're trying to live and judge others instead of looking in the mirror every day.
Yeah, I see that you guys have put a whole thing of, so you wrote in the book that you actually redesigned the whole brand. Your brand was actually your face, and then you switched it to your
caricature.
Caricature.
You know, I went to my buddy Dan Kick Charge, and he said, "Listen, I like it, but I want it to be timeless. I want it to be authentic, and I want it to be elegant. I want to say you are a good, wholesome, good brand." And we really thought a lot about it. We studied all the other brands in Phoenix, and then we studied all the other markets and said we wanted a different color palette. We wanted to stand out. We wanted it to be able to clean up easy. And then I'd use some reflective on the vans that pop at you. And then I had to get the colors right. And, I did not have a great brand. Now, I had a lot of pride in that brand because people say, I see you everywhere. So, of course, you think it's working. It's a lot of risk and a lot of fear to say, I'm going to change something that's already working. I mean, at the time I rebranded, I was doing $40 million a year. Mm-hmm. Think about that, $40 million. You've heard the saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Well, I still needed to fix it. I knew there was things we could be doing better, which takes a lot of guts. My stepdad, he worked for my company for 9 years. He said, Tommy's got bigger balls than anybody I've ever met. He's willing to gamble on himself all the time. He'll bet on himself every day of the week. And I know if someone is an expert at branding, and I believe in them, and they show me case study after case study, I'm listening to that person. I'm not saying I'm doing it, but I'm saying if I believe 100% in my team, which are my trusted advisors, all agree that this is what we're going to do. And I've had to take a lot of risk, but I love risk. I love putting myself in a tight spot because I function the best under pressure. You can put me under a pressure cooker, I'm going to win every day.
How'd you get into how'd you get into expanding to other states? So it seems like, was that on like... So, okay, I'm going to go back. I read in the book that you had this plan, right? So you ran into, you went to conferences and you had people who you've been telling this plan for 10 plus years and they didn't believe you, that you were going to do this. You were going to build this big company. And they said, what's his name? He said, man, everybody talks, but Tommy actually was about it.
Tom Howard?
Tom said that.
Well... The deal is there's a lot of talkers out there. So I had to call my management in, and I spent 2 days whiteboarding and building out the plan and showing them every intricate detail of what would need to happen. And I showed it in 3 months periods. So it wasn't this crazy thing. And I said, this is doable, right? And they walked out of there going, we're going to be $1 billion company. because there was a plan, there was numbers, there was KPIs, there was data to get to the plan. A lot of people say, I'm going to be a millionaire one day. What does one day mean? What are you going to do? If you told me I'm going to invest into a Roth IRA and I'm going to max it out, and with the law of 7 at 10%, my money doubles, and I know within 28 years I'll be a millionaire, that's believable. That's real timelines. If you're doing $50,000 a year and you say I'm going to be a billionaire, you got to have some proof. Like, we've built the model, we know we could get a market to this, and if we just do this 20 more times and replicate it, this is where we could be.
Right.
So in the beginning, you got to have something to put your best foot forward, because how many people say I'm going to quit smoking and then don't? How many people say I'm going to get into great shape? And people are like, here's the deal. You look in the mirror and you promise yourself, I'm sick of this. I'm ready. I hit the tipping point. And then you tell everybody I'm done, and then you don't keep your word. When you lie to yourself in the mirror and you get comfortable lying, I'm going to go back to church. I'm going to be a better son. I'm going to communicate better. If you keep lying to yourself, how's anybody going to take you seriously? Mm-hmm. A lot of people are talkers. They talk, and their friends go, sure, you've said this how many times now? Like, quit talking. Show us. You lead by actions instead of words. And watch what people, they'll look at you differently. When they see you moving, people that haven't talked to me, they're like, dude, what's gone on with you? When they saw my body, I lost 12% body fat in less than 90 days. They go, what in the effing hell is going on? And I said, I'm dedicated. I made a decision and I'm sticking to it, and I'm getting a lot of help. Went to the doctor, called Jason, called 3 other guys, got the trainer. I'm literally like you should see my house with the workout equipment. Like, I'm all in.
This one is this is an interesting one. So do you think that, you've done everything, you're A1 garage, do you think that your personal life has been impacted in terms of like relationships, etc., like having a wife, kids, from being so dedicated to your company? And how do you see that in the foreseeable future?
I can't tell you how many bridges I've burned, how many relationships I've literally sacrificed, how much failure I've had in my personal life because of watching A1 grow. If you think coming from nothing and building an empire is not going to cost you everything, if you don't think there's sacrifices, there's another thing coming. Now I get to live the life I dreamt of my whole life. And guess what? Relationships, I've got an amazing girlfriend. Her name's Bree. Yesterday, she got a 68 Firebird for her 25th birthday, convertible, just like her grandpa's that just passed away. He gave it to his oldest son. So she's like, man, I love that car. She really wanted it. So I got that replica for her birthday. That's a money thing, but that's a memory. That's nostalgia. That's something that she's going to smile and think of every memory of her grandpa every time she gets in that car. It's not her daily driver. But ultimately, my point here is, have I sacrificed a lot? There's a reason I don't have kids. Listen, I don't think I need to have kids by any age. I'm a man. I don't care if I'm older. I'm taking care of myself.
Yeah, you could be like Al Pacino.
I'll be an old guy. But ultimately, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to have kids because it's time to have kids. I see a lot of women, they say, obviously women got a different concern. I mean, women typically have kids under 40. The baby sometimes has complications. Men don't have that, so it's not really in my realm. But I love her. I see us getting married. And, I don't have a problem being faithful. In fact, that's easy for me, is being loyal to somebody. Because I'm used to loyalty.
Because you're married to A1 right now.
I love loyalty. But listen, man, I got a lot of things going on. I own 2 apartment complexes. I own several commercial buildings. I'm doing a lot of other stuff outside of A1. But if you had a chance, I did the math. And this is going to sound really bad. But if A1 goes where I need it to go in 2025, I calculated I make $650,000 a day. $650 a day. What would you be focused on? Now, how many lives could I affect? How many millionaires are going to come out of that? How many family trees are we going to be able to change? Now, like I said, money's not everything, but guess what? How many memories are we going to create? What fun things are we going to do when money's not an option? I didn't have money growing up, so that's what I look at. I go, when I went to Disney World, I took a lot of employees with me. We didn't wait in lines. We went through first class. I'm going to go through life first class. And yes, there's sacrifices along the way. And most people aren't willing to make them. And sometimes, having a plan and knowing who's responsible for what when you're in business, I've seen fathers and sons never talk again. I've seen marriages break up, and it usually is because of money and business. So you got to be very careful. You need to know what the expectations are. The reason you start with family is it's somebody you could trust, and then animosity builds. And then they become, well, they're not working as hard as me, and they disagree all the time, and everybody thinks they're right. And then our number one rule we talk about is no matter what, if we work together, you're going to know your expectations. You're not going to work directly for me. And we got to be able to have fun at Thanksgiving, because that's what this is about, Thanksgiving. It's about making sure we still love each other. And I don't want any animosity. Getting into business is a scary thing. I talk about that in the Home Service Millionaire book.
What are the, can you tell me an example of like some of the best home service millionaire turnaround stories?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you got stories left and right. You got a lot of people that can't find good employees. Where do you go to find employees? The unemployment line, most people. They say, I got to go to Indeed, I got to go to Craigslist, I got to go to ZipRecruiter, I got to go to Monster. There's people that don't have jobs you're looking for. Why not to get somebody with a great job to come into your company because you're giving them something more? They could build a career, they could build a foundation, they could raise their family. So they got to be able to earn more. They got to have unlimited potential. They got to be able to move up the ladder quickly. They got to be able to become a better human being. My goal is that anybody that meets me and works with A1 is going to become a better person overall. Maybe they're not going to work with me forever. It doesn't bother me. But I will say that when we shake hands, and I wish you luck, and I'll always still talk to you. I had a guy leave, one of my top guys. A guy promised him equity, gave him all this stuff. He's back. He started last week. He goes, I didn't know how good I had it. I thought the grass was greener on the other side. But I stayed in contact. I went to dinner one night with him and his wife and his three kids. And he's like, dude, I want to come back. Would you have me? And I said, yeah, you left on good terms. I love you, bro. I'd do anything for you. You always have a place. You have a place in my building, you have a place in my heart. So I'll never turn my back on you. You've been a great person for me. And a relationship has to work 50-50, or at least 40-60. It can't be me always giving or them always giving. You need to meet in the middle in everything. Husband and wife. Kids you're kind of stuck with regardless. You decided to have them. You brought them into this world. You got to make it work no matter what. I mean, once they turn 18, there's things that you could turn your back on them. But you know, I think if you bring a child into this world, that should be your number one thing. And I wasn't ready to do that. I wasn't ready because I didn't think I could give them what they needed.
Are you planning on that? Or?
Yeah, I want to have kids, but I don't have like on October 30th, 2027. I don't have this. We need to get you pregnant by this date.
Are you gonna do what Jackie Chan did and give your kids no money, start at zero, or what do you feel about that?
So the whole parenting style is, listen, you make them meet you in the middle. So like, I'm going to buy my niece and nephew's cars, but I'm going to say you got to come up with 30%. And I'm going to make sure it's not like a Porsche.
I mean, I'd come up with $50,000 if you said 30%.
Well, yeah, that's great. But then I'm going to say the same thing with college. Then I'm going to say the same thing with your house. Is you're going to earn into this. And I want to give them a taste of what the good life looks like so they want it more. Yeah. But I'm not giving my kids everything. No. Like, they got to work for it. Like, the thing is, if you've always had a golden spoon in your mouth, what made me succeed is knowing what the bottom looks like and feeling that and experiencing that. Do I have my perfect parenting, whole academy, whatever it's going to be worked out? No, I don't. I guarantee you I'll talk to the people that have raised the kind of kids the way that I do it, and I will do it, is I'll say, man, that guy has a 22-year-old daughter that's like focused. She's happy. She's respectable. She's not on OnlyFans. You know, I want to learn from that mom and dad. Yeah. I want to learn from a 7-year-old that's playing the piano, that's actually focused and playing outside versus going on their phone all day, what they did. I'll never go in this world at anything in my life. I'm not going about it alone anymore. Mm-hmm. Success leaves clues everywhere. Nobody's asking these parents what they did and how they did it. But instead, they're reading all these stupid books and seeing how to become a better parent by the shittiest parent that wrote the book, that decided they have to write a book on it. So I'm not saying every author is full of shit, but what I'm telling you is, why not look at the real world and say, wow, that kid seems excited. That kid, I've met him 5 or 6 times. I met her 5 or 6 times or 10 times. And it's the real deal. It's not a facade. Like, there's no way that's not what I want my kids to be like.
What do you think is one thing that you did differently that most people don't do which led you to have the level of success that you've had?
I think the better and more success I had, the more I wanted to learn more. I think a lot of people say I've made it. They've kind of said, I've hit the pinnacle. I don't have a lot of people that I see as a mistake is they say, I'll be happy when I make $100,000 a month. I'll be happy when I make $1 million. So they start out I'll be happy when I hit 10 grand. Then they hit 100. Then they say, I'll be happy when I make $1 million. And they say, well, if I made $1 million a week. And what they realize is these numbers are going to continue to grow. It's the process in which you get there you got to fall in love with. Is have big goals, but the goals will change over time. There's no, hey, I made it to the top of the mountain. So I would say you got to stay focused. Read the one thing. Read essentialism. Get focused. What if let's pretend I took you out to the ocean and I said, I'm going to teach you your best life lesson. And I decided to hold your head down as hard as I could in the water to where you couldn't even breathe. And you were just gas. You were like tossing and turning. And then finally I let you up and you went barely take a breath before you drowned. And I said, that's how bad you got to want to win in your one core business you're focused on. More than just as bad as you wanted to breathe when you were underwater, barely moving. You were about to give up on life. You got to want success that bad. And when you want it that bad and you remind yourself every day, you got it on the mirrors, you got it in the house, you got it in your car, you're remembering why you're doing this. That's when you win, when it's number one, when you're not getting distractions. Your eye is on the freaking ball. Entrepreneurs, it's a shiny light. Oh, I'm going to get into real estate. Oh, my God, I'm going to get into, crypto. Oh, like they're always bop, 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 instead of the straight focus on what they're focused on, how to win. Oh, I'm going to divest in the one thing giving me everything so I could go off a whim because my buddy told me to open up a bar. Mm-hmm. That's a distraction. They waste a decade wasting time on all these distractions instead of keeping their freaking eye on the ball and running as fast as they could towards that one thing. Mm-hmm. But when you get a lot of money and the company's doing great and you're able to take some chips off the table and you get the right investment committee around you, then you can invest in a lot of stuff because you know what you've learned over the years could affect the outcome. And I think what's really smart is when you've got a comprehensive investment strategy. So not one thing, the stock market, not the private equity market, there's a lot real estate. Like always have things spread over a lot of things because, I've got great businesses that are going to do really, really well, but hope for the best, plan for the worst. I'm ready for anything. And I know no matter what, I'm done. I could walk away today. But it wouldn't make me happy. You can't say this. Imagine your kid was really good at playing the piano and he could play us in the symphony. Would you say, hey, you're done. You've already accomplished what you need? Or would you say, continue to get better, continue to grow that? At anything, hey, you scored 100 touchdowns in the NFL, you could retire now. No. Nobody that does anything great should be done. Mm-hmm. There's not this day. And I think a lot of people in relationships, what they do is they say, if your girlfriend was dating you and you're doing this podcasting, and you finally make it and you got her name and let's say you do a $50 million deal and she says to you, finally, you're finished. Now you get to golf every day and you're not going to change. Mm-hmm. It's in your DNA.
Right.
Never go into a relationship saying this is a period of time and this person's going to change. You need to be very clear that this is me. Grant Cardone says, my wife, she knows I'm with her. She knows I'm with my kids. She knows I give 100%, but she lets me continue my dream. Mm-hmm. And she continues to get behind me with whatever my dreams are.
Do you relate to a lot of these guys who are at the top? Do you think that you guys are similar? Do you think that everybody is do you think that they're compensating for something that they didn't have early in their life?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I think the question always is when I'm around these people, do they want fame or do they want money or do they want success or do they want power? And it's understanding, like Bradley wants fame. He wants fame more than money. But it's understanding their true reason of what they're going about, what they're doing. I mean, I was at a huge event. There was everybody who's anybody. Russell Brunson, you name it. Ed Milet was there. Andy Alley was there, like all these guys. And I was there with another buddy. And I said, I'm going to be bigger than all these guys combined. They don't stand a chance. Because I believe in myself that much. I believe I can affect the outcome. I don't need them to fail to be better than them. And I want them all to succeed. That's the thing. The more they succeed, the more I've got to succeed.
Right.
But I know what I'm capable of. You know why? Because I'm not afraid to ask for help. And I'm continuing, I could pay for the best of the best. When you're paying for a coach, I'm paying for a coach that's 10 times better. And a great coach could teach you way faster. And I've got a great team around me because they know that I care. So I'm never telling somebody, hey, man, can I use your guy? And they think around me, that's not like if Tommy knows everybody's going to lose because he's going to dominate. No. We share with each other because I want to see other people come up. See, a lot of people are happy for you till you pass them. And then they're like, oh, look at this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched a lot of people on the sidelines cheering for me until they were like, shit, this guy's becoming a monster. And it's like, before it used to be really motivating, and now they're kind of like, well, when's enough? And I'm like, what?
Do you get a lot of that?
Well, I do get people go, when is enough? When's the finish line for you? And I go, there's no finish line. It's not the money anymore. And I think a lot of people in my life were like, man, he's done it. Now I get to hang out all the time, and he's just going to ride off into the sunset. You know, there will be a day that I'm not the CEO of A1, and it'll be in the next 3 years. And I'm designing a life for myself. It's a 5-year plan of how much I like to fish, golf, what I like to do, how much I like to travel. And I'm not putting down Monday through Friday, all the hours. I'm basically saying, here's what I like to do during the week. Here's how much I like to travel. Here's the friends I want to see. Here's the family I want to see. Here's how often. And then I'm writing what needs to happen for that to take place. And I'm delegating things off my plate slowly. And I'll hire a new CEO. And I'll do it. And potentially I'll have a staff of 10 people just working with me. Only. Not even any of the companies. And all of a sudden, I'm on stages, I'm doing stuff, but I'll start to get very picky. And I think that's what you'll find. Is I'll say, I'd love to do it. If you could show up to Phoenix, I'm going to be doing 3 things. Maybe we could combine an event. And if you're willing to work for me, because at that time you've got more clout, you could make people do certain things. Not make them, but they'll want to because
I would actually be very curious to do an interview when you're at that point when you've exited, because I think your mindsets. This is what I see, and tell me if I'm wrong at all.
Yeah.
I think you're so ingrained in what you're doing right now that I think you're just gonna change. Like in 3 to 5 years, when things are different, you're gonna be able to focus on what is there then, right? Like it's kind of like some people, if they're not doing a lot of things, like, and they know what their life has been like and what their life's going to be like in 3 years, like they're not doing a lot. They kind of know how they're going to feel, where they're going to be at. But if you're at the point where you're at and you're going to be making all these changes in the next 3 to 5 years, I think you're just so focused on what you're doing right now that in the future, you're kind of going to be like, I kind of am in a different predicament. Not that you're going to stop working, you're going to work less or work less hard, but that you're just going to be like, this is different.
Well, what's nice is now that I've divested and I've got all these things that are going to produce hundreds of millions of dollars and the money's working harder for me than I could ever work. It's more about experiences. It's more about, what do I like to do, man? What gets me excited? Like, I like to golf. I like to go tubing on the back of boats, and I love spending time with friends. Man, I love working out today. We did chest and triceps. Me and my trainer, Bree's like, why do you pay the trainer so much? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, dude, this dude's so freaking cool. He introduced me. Do you know the guy named Brandon Rafi on all the signs? Rafi?
Rafi.
Brandon Rafi.
Yeah, Rafi Law Group. You guys are like,
yeah, we're buddies.
Competing for space.
For space.
Advertising.
Well, my trainer introduced me to him. He introduced me to all these people. He gives me ideas all the time, and I give him ideas. So the whole time I'm working out, I'm talking about business. You know, some people get together, they talk about football, they talk about kids, I talk about business. Yeah. Like, that's my pastime. That's my fun. And it's hard to pull that out of my DNA and say, hey, turn off your business sense. My buddy Keegan, he made about $150 million. That's where he's at today. He's doing other businesses. He goes and talks to his neighbors in Naples, Florida that are billionaires. And he says these guys just love to get back and they love to hear what he's doing, kind of live vicariously through him.
Yeah.
And it's cool because he's just learning all day from billionaires. And billionaires are way different than millionaires. You know what billionaires do? They know who to call when. They know their network is their net worth. They have a big Rolodex. They've got people they can call and they trust. I mean, you watch a billionaire work, they're not working, they're not getting up early doing cold plunges. Some of them are, but they know who to call when. And they know how to get the right thing. They understand corporate structure and KPIs. Like they can put stuff together and they can handle it all because do you know how many decisions Jeff Bezos makes in a day? He makes 2 important decisions a week. He makes them between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. That's his 2 hours. That's it. That's the only critical decisions he makes. He's moved himself out. So my goal is continuing to move myself out. I'm not doing a tenth of the stuff I used to do. Like I'm here in a podcast, right, on a Tuesday. I was on 2 other podcasts today. I get to do a lot of other stuff. You might think it's all A1, but I'm growing my personal brand, which then in turn helps grow A1 even more. Because there's probably a lot of people, hopefully, that understand that they can make 6 figures, own a piece of A1, become a multi-millionaire, in the next 3 years coming and partnering with me.
Right.
And I consider that these are my coworkers. They're not my employees.
So what's one last piece of advice you'd like to give everybody? You can look at the camera and tell.
Listen, guys, I might sound a little cocky, but I promise you I'm humble. I promise you I've been where you're at. I've gone through a lot. It doesn't come easy. What I would tell you is success leaves clues. Surround yourself around the right people, and it's easy to say that, but I'm going to give you guys a little clue real quick. I've got a test that I've kind of came up with in the last 6 months. When someone calls you, I want you to look at the phone, and if you that instant gut reaction you get of like, oh God, this is like, and they're your friends, maybe separate yourself from that poison. You ever notice when a rotten fruit is next to a good fruit, all the fruit goes rotten? When you see your phone ringing and vibrating, I want you to get excited about everybody you're dealing with. Get motivated. Start sharing the good things. If you talk to people all the time and they're just negative, get rid of them. You really are around who you hang around with. I could guess your income level if you show me your 5 best friends that you hang out with the most. I'll be within 20% of 98% of you. 100%. Like it happens every time. And I would just tell you to want more, dream a little bit bigger, have a bigger goal. A lot of people say I want to be a millionaire. If you want to be a billionaire and you could actually figure out a way to do it with a plan, you're gonna manifest so much more. And I believe you could manifest a lot. So just the other piece of advice is it comes through hard work and discipline. A lot of people get right to the end zone and they spike the ball. You're so close. You're so close to winning. Just persevere. Stay focused. Keep your eye on the ball. Don't let up. Don't let other people influence you. Don't worry about the economy. Don't worry about Biden. Don't worry about Ukraine. Focus on what you can control in your 4 walls. Stay focused. Readers are leaders. Keep reading, keep learning, keep educating yourself. Always be a student for life, and you're going to win. Thank you guys for watching this podcast. I appreciate it.
This is Kicking Ass, Taking Names podcast, and we're here with Tommy Mello. Appreciate it so much, and thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.